Today's video is about Lula, the former president of Brazil, and his arrests, protests, State Department warnings, and all that other good stuff. It's been very dramatic. Just a little background on him. His real name is Luiz Inácio da Silva. He was the 35th president of Brazil, and his term ended in 2011. He had a fourth grade education, but was hugely popular. He really identified with the working class and the poor, and he instituted a lot of social reforms, genuinely lifting people out of poverty. He actually left the presidency in 2011 with an approval rating of 83%. But then he got himself involved in the car wash scandal, also known as Lava Juto. The scandal is incredibly messy. It involved a Petrobras, which is a publicly owned oil and gas company. And it's publicly owned, but the majority of the shares are owned by the Brazilian government. So there were a lot of people involved in this. It was money laundering. I think it involved almost 10 billion US dollars. That's a billion with a B. It involved bribes, kickbacks, connections to other leaders, 11 other countries. I'm talking senators, governors, mayors, companies in other countries. It's just a mess. So anyway, he was convicted on corruption charges, and he goes through the whole appeals process. And he was convicted, and he was told to report to jail, and he refused. Throughout this drama, he was incredibly popular or truly hated. He has been called a cancer on Brazil, as well as a national hero. And you can see some of the photos here. The one in the upper right, Lula Livre, is just free Lula. Bottom is huge crowds gathered with an icon of him dressed in a prison uniform, and then an older picture from CNN on the left calls for his impeachment. Throughout this time period, we received regular warnings. This came to my email on or around April 6th, that it was just letting me know that in Porto Alegre, which is far from here, it wasn't anything close, a sizable protest with potential for violence was planned. It gave us recommendations in terms of actions we need to take, how I need to be careful, security plans, all that other good stuff. In addition, they also supplied phone numbers for 24-hour assistance should I need it. Let's hope not. So on Thursday, April 5th, he was supposed to report, but he barricaded himself at the Union Hall. There's a Union Hall here in Sao Paulo, because he's very popular with that worker, that they protected him, they barricaded him in. You can see in the upper right, people were screaming, "No prison for Lula," and then the National Post photo is him waving to his supporters. And down at the bottom right, you can see people starting to face off outside of this Union Hall that Lula was condemned, and there were fights, and it was crazy. Police were involved. So then on Friday, April 6th, the police threatened to storm the Union Hall, and they gave him a deadline. And on Saturday, April 7th, right before the deadline was set to expire, he agreed to turn himself in. So it was kind of a bizarre moment. It was almost like a little bit of an O.J. Simpson moment. You can see getting images on the left, the start of a caravan, and on the right, he was in one of those cars. It was very bizarre. It really was like an O.J. Simpson moment, and they took him to the airport so he could fly to Curitiba, where the federal prison is located. And the bottom picture is him getting on a plane, off a plane, I'm not sure which, but he's reporting to prison at that moment. Interestingly enough, he was convicted, as we've said. He got a 12-year sentence, and he actually wanted to run again, and people are saying that he probably would have won if he hadn't been convicted, and right now, because he's in prison, he cannot run again. So in my neighborhood on Thursday, April 5th, when he first barricaded himself in, the neighborhood went a little crazy in terms of protesting, and I can't tell if they were protesting for or against him, but this is what we heard. And that celebration with the pots and the horns and the fireworks went on for about 10 minutes or so, and he remains very divisive today. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Just a little update on Brazilian politics.